Happy Friday, you handsome lot, and look what we've got on the ramp today. We've got a 2012 Transit Connect. Simplicity at its finest. Now, we've got a couple of little jobs, I think, that we need doing. The customer stated that he's not sure when the timing belt was replaced. Timing belt, fuel pump belt, whatever you want to call it. And also, we've got a little bit of a noise at about 2,000 RPM as you blip the throttle. I have a little suspicion that it is the alternator, but I have last night before I went home, I ordered a timing belt kit and an alternator. Should we get this vehicle started? I'm going to give Ben! Come here. Jump in this van. Are we in a good mood, Ben? Cold. But anyway, we're going to give it a big start now. I'm going to have a little listen. Now, I'm not going to lie, with this vehicle running, it's quite a hard sound to get through the microphone for you lot to listen to. But you're going to have to bear with me. Benjamin, are you ready? You sure? Do you want to phone a friend? Give it a rev to about 2,000 RPM, flip the throttle. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's take the ramp up and have a little listen from underneath. Right, now bearing in mind, let me just pull my mic up, bearing in mind, these engines are a little bit noisy. I think it is coming from this area here. Give it a rev, see if we can listen to it. Can you hear it? Like a woo, woo. I think what we're going to do is just quickly pull the alternator belt off and see if it's still making that noise. As you can see, the vehicle is now up in the air, but if I flip the camera around, what I have noticed is the casing for the alternator. It has got a big split in it, so the chances are, if that casing split, it's probably just putting extra pressure on the bearings in the alternator. Give it a big start, Benjamin. That's how quiet that engine is. Give it a rev now. Switch it off. Yeah. 100% the alternator. All the other pulleys and idlers and water pump, they all feel pretty good. Stuff like this only happens on Friday, doesn't it? But earlier previously I said in the videos that I'd already pre-ordered the bits for this vehicle. Timing belt, tensioner, and a new water pump. Where's my alternator? They haven't sent the alternator out for me. But not to worry, we've still got stuff we can carry on with. I think what I'm going to do, while I'm waiting for the alternator to turn up, is put the timing belt on. Well, fuel pump. Well, it is a timing belt because it times a fuel pump, doesn't it? But yeah, should we make a start on it? I think so. Right, because we need to remove the engine mount on this, what we've done, attach the Pickler engine support. And I'm sure you've all seen it by now. If you haven't, it's a great design. It bolts to the chassis. Well, it hooks into the chassis, into the subframe, and just rests on the floor pan of the vehicle. And that will support that engine when we take the engine mount off. Obviously, as you can see, we've got the vehicle back down to working height. Now, with that engine supported from underneath, we can go ahead and remove the coolant tank. Now, when I was at the vehicle up in the air, I did remove all the coolant out of the system. So we're going to go ahead now, get this tank off, remove this intercooler pipe, and we've got lots of access to get towards the engine mount, which we can remove, get the water pump and the belt off. It's pretty straightforward. Oh, I love the simplicity of stuff. I really do. It's brilliant. With everything out of the way, we've had to just pull the power steering bottle out of the way. Now, what I do like are these little bungs, and you can just put in the pipes. It saves it dripping everywhere. And I tell you what, they're not much. A big set of them. They're on Amazon. I think that they are in my link tree if you want to go and have a little look for them. And I tell you what, they're so handy to have about. Now, we can go ahead, 215s, 218s, and that engine mount should just pull off. Well, I've gone ahead now, we've removed both parts of the engine mount, the part that bolts to the block and the chassis as well. We've got lots of room there. I've gone ahead and removed the water pump pulley. There's only 4 10s holding it on. We can go ahead now and remove this plastic timing cover, and it's only held on with a few 10 mils. With all them covers stripped down, the timing on these is so simple. With it being a common rail, we haven't really got to worry about it too much. As long as everything aligns back up. There is timing marks on it, but I'm not worried about lining it all up. I'm just going to put my own marks, and that's what I'll show you now. I put the little notch at 12 o'clock, put some green paint on it, put 2 lines on the fuel pump and the timing cover. As long as everything aligns back up after you put that belt on, there isn't going to be any drama. It's not like a timing belt on the cam and crank where everything has to be so critical. But again, yeah, me saying it doesn't have to be critical, it does, but not as much as it would be with the cam crank timing belt, if that makes sense. That makes sense. Right, we're going to get this tensioner off now, slacken it off. We have got a little bit more access to the water pump because it is just tucked behind the timing belt. I've gone ahead now, I've removed the water pump. We give the fascia of the block, with it being aluminium, you have to be careful. So we've used a little bit of 3M Scotch pad, and that has just made it look a little bit perfect and clean, as you can see. It is nice and clean. Now, to put the new water pump on, you do get a paper gasket with it, but what I like to do, especially with these paper gaskets, because it is quite fiddly to hold them to the pump while you're installing it, I get some Vaseline, put it on the water pump surface, and that gasket now will just stick on there like nicely while I install it. Now, installing it, I do need to jump on technical information. Now, normally any water pump is about 10 to 12 newton meters. Now, the information that I'm using is old data, and I'm going to show you now how easy it is for me. Obviously, I've put the registration in. Now, every vehicle is going to be different, and this information is directly from the manufacturers. So what you're going to see now is what the manufacturers see in front of them. We've got little sub-menus. We need to go to cooling system. You'll have to bear with me because my internet is absolutely shocking here. There's lots of little components. It says repair, TSB, and the spec. Well, we need to go water pump repair or replacement. Click that, and then that'll bring you up now everything regarding the water pump. And it is internet based, and there is a subscription for it. And if you are interested in all data and having a free trial, get in contact them, and please quote my name, and you will get a bit of a discount, I think. Now, as you can see, all this information now has loaded onto the screen. Now, we've already done these steps. It will show you the torque settings for the water pump pulley when we put it back on. And also, it shows you, rather than having a drawn diagram, it's an actual image. So it is a lot easier to understand. Now, the water pump, as you can see, it is 10 newton meters. If we go down, go down, go down, go down, it does also show you that if you're not replacing the belt, just to put a little bit of cardboard or something around the belt, saves damaging it when you're pulling it past. But we're not worried about that. Not worried about that. But yeah, this is absolutely brilliant. I'm finding it, the more I'm using it, the better it is getting. With all my information read, my gasket now is stuck to the water pump and it's not coming off. Vaseline is absolutely dreamy. It's really good stuff. And by the way, do not be using silicone. Don't use it because that's what the gasket's for. Right, I'm going to get my torque wrench now. I'm going to get this water pump back on that engine. With that water pump now on and back in place and torqued up to spec-a-rooney, I've gone ahead and I've put the timing belt on. And again, the new tensioner, if we go around to all data, it does tell us we've got 50 newton meters. Now, on these, if you're not careful, it will catch out. If you pay attention to this tensioner now, oh God, there's my spanner and the Allen key. And if you spin this tension around too quick, if I can zoom in and show you. If you have a little look, see that little pointer there? That's meant to line up in the middle, but if you do it too quick, it doesn't tension. You see what I mean? So if you go slow, like proper slow, it'll bring it round, and that now is in place. Let me put my camera there. Let me put my camera there, like so. We can go ahead and grab the torque wrench. We can get this torqued up. To 50 newton meters. And once it's torqued up, get your pen and give it a little mark so you know that it's done. Now all we've got to do, grab on our 18 on the pulley, hang on. Yeah, no, you know what? Let's leave it. Can we leave it there? Yeah, let's leave it there. We can jump on our 18 now. Oh no, I can't. I've got a little bloody jacket on mine. Hang on. See how easy it is with this pickle engine support? You're not faffing about. It's brilliant. So we can jump on our 18 now and wind this engine over. Oh, God. Not good compression on it anyway. We can wang it over until all them marks are lined back up perfectly. Look at that, eh? So simple. Everything. All engines should be like this. With a little bit of magic, that vehicle is now all back together, and we're going to be putting some coolant back in the vehicle. Now, what I like to use whenever I've had a coolant system apart to save bleeding and faffing about is a coolant and vacuum refill system. Now, this is absolutely brilliant. Now, as I'm going along, since I've had the kit, I've been writing the names or the manufacturers on each cap. Now, I can't find the one I'm looking for. It says on it Ford. There you go, Ford. Couple that up there. Does it fit? No, it doesn't fit. Well, that made me look like a little bit of a plonker, didn't it? Anyway. Oh, well. So you can't make this up, can you? You can't make it up. Anyway, I found a different lid. Obviously, because these older vehicles, they have got different caps, and all the new ones that I work on takes that cap. We're going to get this one screwed on now, and I hope it works. I hope it works. I'll show you now how I set it up. Should we go ahead now and get the gauges fixed up? Now, there is got a little clip on it, so it is handy just to hang it on bonnets or around something. I'm going to plonk that on the cap. Now, they are all quick release. They are air operated, so you need your airline. Let's couple it up. Make sure that the bottom one is closed off because we don't want to be dragging air up. We want to be dragging air out. So make sure that switch is open that way. And that now is pulling a vacuum, and it'll get all that air out of that system. And when it reaches the correct pressure, or vacuum should I say, I just tend to go just into the yellow, because what I find is the little bit of air that's in the pipe from the feed, that can drop the pressure a little bit. So if you put it a little bit over, it can compensate for that air in the pipe. Now, I'm going to leave that 5 minutes just to make sure that we've got no leaks whatsoever. And that'll give me enough time to find me coolant tub and make sure that I've got plenty of coolant in it. Right, well, after waiting about 5 minutes or so, you can wait as long as you want, as long as that needle doesn't go down. If that needle goes down, it means you've got a leak and you have to check your work. However, we've got our coolant, which is all topped up, the correct coolant for the vehicle. All we've got to do now is flick that switch, and that now will be filling that coolant system. Such an absolute game changer that is. Right, well, we have finished with everything now at the top of this vehicle. What we're going to be doing is removing the alternator. It's very, very, very simple to do. There's one line, one plug, and 2 bolts going through into the engine. Now, this vehicle has got a radio code, and I don't know it, and I don't know whether we can get it. There's probably somebody out there going to say, oh, well, there's an app for that, you can download it. But however, what I've had to do, save disconnecting the battery, disconnected the live terminal, and I put a little bit of tape around it. Be extra careful. If you don't know what you're doing, it is always worth disconnecting the battery and losing that radio code. But because I kind of know what I'm doing, I've taken my time, removed it, and put a little bit of insulation tape. So that is going to be perfectly safe while I am removing that alternator. And just with a little bit more magic, we have now got that alternator off. Like I said, they are so easy to replace. Now, always when you get your new one or remanufactured, make sure it is like for like, the correct amperage and whatever. Make sure all the fittings are correct. Now, we do have to swap, I think it'll swap over, that little black casing at the back. So if you have a little look, we spin it, that alternator is quite stiff to turn, where the new one is very free. Can you remember when I said at the beginning of the video where the casing was split? You see it there? Nice big crack in it. Ah, I think that's going to be your noise, buddy. Right, let's get that plastic cover swapped over. And there we go. That alternator is now all mounted back up to the vehicle. I was going to say video, but vehicle. All the connectors are nice and tight, and it would be rude not to put a new auxiliary drive belt on it as well. I've just got to put a little bit of a splash guard on there, and then we can get it down and give it a big start-a-rooney. Anyway, it's start time. Everything is back together. The coolant's topped up the alternator. We put a fresh belt on it. Everything is as it should be. Should we get Ben now to give it a big start-a-rooney? A concentration face. Right, anyway, as you just heard, it started up like a little single sewing machine, and it sounds so much quieter because we haven't got that belt squeal like it did have before. Can you give it a little bit of a rev, Ben? Go on. Beautiful. Friday success. Friday success. Well, there you have it. That is one little Transit Connect, repaired with a little bit of a whine and a fresh fuel pump drive belt. Yeah. You know what? There's a lot of people out there probably going to see this video that have worked on these over the years and probably thought to themselves, oh, I'm retired now, I'm never going to see them again. But there you go. Bit of reminisce. I love all this simplicity. It's simple. Everything goes smoothly. But right, I'm going to leave this vehicle ticking over now. Put my tools away. Fill my job card out. And I've got some other stuff to be carrying on with for the rest of the day. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please click that like and subscribe, and no doubt you will see you on the next video, which I think I've got a Volvo 4x4 of some description, which is having some rear trailing arm bushes tomorrow. But yeah, if you've liked it, please hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you definitely on the next video. Let's get it sent.